We are robots with not much human in us. Only our connection with the Creator lets us experience that reality. Robots are controlled by programs, and the program isn't interested in letting anything happen to you that you actually want. And they do everything to prevent it from happening, because when it doesn't happen, there's a powerful release of energy, pain, and disappointment. And they...
Powerful.
Yes, and they feed on it.
Okay, wait, we're robots, which must constantly be disappointed in order to be food for someone, right?
Yes.
Well, let's assume so.
Therefore, what I have been working on all this time, day and night, is what I am looking for. Ways to exit programs, because it is exactly these programs that try to prevent us from becoming human. And
who is eating us the programs? I'm just not very familiar with this person.
I'll ask.
And his thoughts on this matter. Look, in general, on the one hand, all of this does take place, but on the other hand, we are not robots. Well, at least we do something. We are not robots. We are particles of the original. And yes, right now, in the Kali era, there are powerful forces present here that gladly feed on our consciousness. Moreover, these forces are both created by people and by the Creator. But there is no inherent problem in this. This is because we consume life, and then another form of life eventually consumes us. This is the cycle of consumption in this universe. Therefore, to break this vicious cycle, well, you could stop eating. How long could you stop for?
And who is eating us? Demons? Entities?
Well, look, if we just juggle words, it's unlikely to become any clearer. Because people call just about anyone a demon, sometimes even neighbors call each other demons. So, it's not all that straightforward here. There are certain beings, inorganic beings, they don't have physical bodies, but they have their own world, and from that world they come here, and they can also settle here, be present here. They can get into all sorts of objects, some items, certain forms, sculptures, paintings. They can get into anything at all and use it as their material body. That is, they live there as if it's their little house. This does happen. And these beings are extremely interested in sucking out our consciousness. For them, it's food, it's nourishment. If we get emotional in the process, that consciousness becomes especially tasty for them. That's why, within their abilities, they try to get on our nerves. This deprives us of reason and sound judgment. We start to freak out, get nervous, and lose control. And in those moments, they exist. But they can't eat us completely, otherwise we would die. Then there would be nothing left for them to eat. That's why they keep us in a certain balance, so that we don't develop enough to realize this fact, but also don't degrade so much that we shorten our own viability. Such a mechanism exists. It is real. There's another mechanism called egregores, or as Zelen calls them, pendulums. It's the same thing whether you call it an egregore or a pendulum, it's the same. These are entities created by humans themselves. When a group of people, a large group of people, begin to think and strive together toward a goal, in one direction their collective field appears, a vibrant, energetic cloud. And under certain circumstances, this energetic cloud begins to act independently, to have a life of its own. Some of these energetic clouds continue to be controlled by people, if they know how, as seers or practitioners who possess this mastery. Some clouds live on their own, no one controls them. Their only goal is to keep growing and growing, to absorb as many of their flock into themselves as possible. That is, many of these clouds are at war with each other, and accordingly people are at war with each other as well. These clouds are interested in having as many of us as possible, so that we multiply and reproduce. But these are not inorganic beings. These beings were created by humans. We are the ones who create these beings. Therefore, the clouds that are controlled by priests have priority over those that float freely. Mainly, these controlled egregores destroy the freely floating egregores. Therefore, no dissent is tolerated. And it doesn't matter whether it's a corporation or a religion. No dissent is allowed in the state system either, otherwise a new egregore will be created. Everyone must think strictly within the framework set by the shepherd who tends them. That's exactly it. This does exist, but we are not robots.
Our viewer wants to preserve their energy and direct it toward their own development, not waste it. How should they behave?
Probably they need to stop chasing their desires and move on to actual practices. Because we want a lot of things, but as soon as it's time to work, to put in effort, to practice, that's usually where it all ends. I want to lose weight? What, are gyms banned or something? Go and lose weight? It's hard, it's difficult, it takes time. Yes, I can't. Yes, I'm tired. Yes, I work. It's the same thing here. You're being drained from morning till night. You're like a battery in the movie The Matrix. And breaking out of this state is incredibly difficult. And I just want to... That won't change anything. There are technologies, there are exercises, there are methods. But here, you have to realize that this is no easier than, for example, losing 20 kilograms. Or from a completely skinny body, slowly building yourself up to achieve a more athletic, toned appearance. I'm not talking about professional bodybuilding right now. I'm just talking about a beautiful, muscular body. That's the level of effort we're talking about. If a person is ready to train, ready to exercise, yes, there is a method, there is a system. I myself went through this training at one time, in the tradition, in the form, in the temple. I saw these processes, learned to see these processes, witnessed them, and dealt with them. You can get out from under all of this. But it's hard work, it's effort, that's what he's sitting there doing. I'm developing, what are you developing? You're a robot fighting with programs, what exactly are you planning to develop there? In other words, even his concept is wrong. And to have the right concept, you need to learn to see energies. And to learn to see energy, you'll have to practice. That's how it is. Not to develop some kind of technologies there.
Now consider this. There is the universal law of free will. And if a person explicitly states, I don't want to give and I refuse to give any more energy to these entities, will that actually be effective in the end?
No.
Why? He clearly stated his firm intentions and refused to provide any further energy.
You know, this free will is perceived by people roughly like freedom of speech. Generally, people stand for freedom of speech, but for some reason they periodically end up sitting on long, thin objects. And not just in our country. Glass objects. Well, no, that's not how it works. Will is a certain form of energy that exists in every person. Is it free? Yes, of course it is free. But you've already wasted it and now it's gone. You've been deceived. You don't have that will. And most people don't have it either. Every time you say, it's not me, it's them, that's it, you have no willpower. I'm a slave to someone, you have no willpower. Let them decide and I'll just agree, that means you have no willpower. You wasted your will at that moment, you gave away your energy to those structures that will now control you. A person's very position in this world is the position of a person without willpower. As soon as you allow yourself to think that something happened not because of you, that something just happened as a matter of circumstance, you have no willpower. You are a slave. That's all. Now let's count how many people think in terms of I'm not responsible, it's the world that's bad, or that God is somehow unjust, or the devil tempted me there. Well, it's just a random circumstance, I'm not to blame for anything. How many people say that? Cancer is, well, I was just unlucky, I'm a good person, that person isn't good. You quarreled with your own soul so much that you lost your vitality, which led to the formation of a cancerous tumor. That's how it is in the real world. It's not that I was just unlucky or that my genetics are somehow wrong. No, that's not it. You quarreled with your own soul from the very beginning. This is why it happened. And you did this, not your neighbor, not the president of your country. You did this because there are no intermediaries and there cannot be any between a person and their own soul. So many people say, well, I don't know, I'm just not lucky, What is this luck anyway? Show it to me with your fingers. Where is this luck located? Let's find it, grab it, and bring it into our lives. But no one knows where to look for this luck. It's just an excuse to avoid responsibility. As long as you can say it's not my fault, as long as you don't have to do anything, as long as To fantasize that things will just happen on their own, it's like, we have these fairy tales and sure they end well, but their message is interesting. I do nothing and then suddenly I'm a prince. Yeah, right, like that's gonna happen. And then you realize fairy tales are lies. Yes, but there's a hint in them. Fairy tales are lies. If you try to live your life like a fairy tale, you'll just end up staying put and dying without really experiencing anything here at all. That's why the first thing you need to do is take back your will. Take it away from those structures to whom you've long since given it. And in order to take it back, you have to be strong, because no one will ever just give it back to you. Yes, you are the one who makes the final decision yourself to voluntarily give away your right to vote, your right to choose, your right to freedom, and your right to responsibility. Yes, you can make that decision. But once you've reached that point, trying to make your very next decision without that will, what are you going to base it on? Watch. It's really just like this. It's like making a deposit in a bank with your own money, but you can't withdraw it until the term is over. It's exactly the same thing. It seems like it's yours, but you can't use it. Why is that? Well, they promised you interest. But if inflation tripled your interest losses and your money devalued, that's your own fault. No one forced you to give that money away. You went and gave it yourself. It's the same thing with your willpower. They'll fill your head with fantasies, make promises, tell you fairy tales, all that stuff. The main thing is for you to agree that you're a slave. Agree that not everything depends on you. Agree that, you just got unlucky, that's why you got sick. Give up the idea that you are the cause of your own life. Say that the cause of your life is the corporation, the state, the community, religion, even in the end. It's not you, it's others. That's someone lacking willpower to regain yours. Oh, it's not easy at all, but it's possible. It is possible, but it's not easy.
So, do these programs also hinder your progress in regaining your energy and rebuilding your strength?
It's easier to ask what doesn't get in the way. Everything here does. Even your reflection can get in your way, making you look at yourself and think, God, I wish I hadn't looked at all.
All right, so what should a person do then? Here the viewer is sitting saying, I want to become stronger so that to regain the freedom of will that they've long since given away to someone. And it remarkably turns out that this very first word of his is actually far more important than everything else that comes after.
It's not a word, it's a person's position. Basically, it's what he considers acceptable. Just look at how many people stand in churches, and for them it's fine. They agree to be God's slaves. When I was searching for more knowledge, and as I was searching, in the system's real world, being called a searching slave made me unhappy. They said I didn't get it yet and offered to explain slaves and fungi. That's not my thread, and whoever is not satisfied, that's it, goodbye. I never wanted to be a slave. My ultimate intention, even though I couldn't always explain it clearly, my intention was freedom. When there's nothing to control you. And when I was moving in that direction, I didn't use such words. I was lucky with my parents. I'm good and hardworking, but my parents are bad. I never said anything like that. I said, yes, I had my starting conditions, and I began from those starting conditions. Why? Hell if I know why. That's just how it is. I move forward the way I think is right. Any mistakes? Yes, of course I made mistakes. I never said I made a mistake from bad advice or was led in the wrong direction. No, I said I made a decision and it proved questionable. No big deal. Now I'll make the next decision and see what the results are. I've made a lot of such decisions, and some of them turned out to be successful. And the success of those decisions outweighed all the shortcomings, all the mistakes I made along the way. What did my mistakes give me? They gave me experience, wisdom. That's what they gave me. You don't realize it. At first you think, oh my God, how did I get myself into this again? But then a year, 2, 3 go by and you think, well, at least I have something to remember, something to talk about. And when you move through this world with full awareness that everything is in your hands, that's when your will is truly free. But when you just hang your hands like this and say, so, where are you going to send me now? Where's the arrow? This arrow right here. Oh, there's the arrow. Okay, I'm going. It's very hard but possible to break out of that state and into the palace of your own life, into the state of my life is in my own hands. You have to change your position. Stop whining. Stop making excuses. Stop running away from responsibility, because you can't escape it anyway. If you make a decision, you can't run away from responsibility. If you don't make a decision, sure, you can say, well, the government will figure it out or something like that. The director will figure it out, someone else will handle it for me, but when the director is sorting things out, he'll be the one in charge of you and nothing will change. At that moment, there is no freedom. At that moment, there is no willpower. That's why a person first changes in their mind, in their head. That's when they decide not to be like that anymore. Not to be that spineless amoeba that just gets directed by others. I want to make mistakes myself, to take responsibility for them myself, to make decisions myself, and to enjoy it when my decision turns out to be right. And not like this, where the corporation's profits are in the billions, but I keep getting my $200 a month, just like before. That's what it means to be irresponsible. But then someone says, fine, I'll start making decisions, I'll organize this herd, I'll give them some money so they can eat, so they can rent a little apartment to sleep in, and some clothes too, so they've got something to wear. If the owner of this company makes the right decision, phew, his fortune skyrockets. But the salaries stay more or less the same. If he makes the wrong decision, well, what can you do? Take Donald Trump, for example. How many times has he gone bankrupt? 4? The man went bankrupt 4 times. Now he's president for the 2nd time already. So he made the wrong decision 4 times. And 2 times he made the right one. Well, I'm exaggerating, but we can all see this. We can all observe it. And some people are afraid to spend an extra ruble because, oh, what if it's not enough? Well, of course it won't be enough for you. There's really nothing to be afraid of here. That's why free will doesn't even begin. It's not me forbidding everyone. Yeah, who are you to forbid anything anyway? You don't even have the means to forbid it. It starts with the question of who I am, how I live, why it happened that my life doesn't depend on me, how did it come to this? And when you say no, from now on, starting today, my life depends only on me, I will make only my own decisions. Yes, I can clarify something, yes, I can consult with someone, but the decision will be mine. When I refuse under any circumstances to become a slave, recently, this American topic came up. All the FBI employees who during all those protests took a knee were all fired. This structure doesn't need slaves, it needs people who are more conscious. Not just slaves, but traitor slaves. You understand? Yes, they are also weak-willed. Yes, they are also under pressure. But not only did you organize these weak-willed people and call them FBI agents, they also submitted themselves to another structure as well. So, get out of here. I don't mean that they got their free minds back, I'm talking about how all of this is handled. So, in order not to be like that, you change your position in this world. And when you change your position in this world, it suddenly turns out that you have the opportunity to learn something more, to manage your own time, to put this world on pause. And these are the necessary things to start learning something, to begin evolving, to start developing. You can't develop if you have nothing to develop for. It's the same as if you threw a seed into the ground, but if it's not soil but sand, there's nothing for it to grow from, there are no useful resources. And if you at least free up those last bits of energy you have, make time to absorb new knowledge, organize some kind of practice, exercise or training for yourself to improve your level of mastery. This is where evolution begins, where new opportunities and new abilities open up for you. And how will you make use of them? Well, naturally, the first thing you do is take your will back, and then you start asking yourself, why the hell am I even alive? What am I living for? What do I want? You see, we live in a paradigm where everything is already decided. You have to go to school, you have to go to college or start working. You have to get married, you have to reproduce, you have to keep working, then you have to retire, and then you have to die. Your whole life is mapped out. There are people here, yes, there are people who say, no, that's not for me. No, that wouldn't have saved me. I'm going to follow my own script. Some people make it, some burn out. But that is simply the everyday life of a truly free person. Take a common house cat, for example, who has a comfortable apartment and plenty of food. Expensive food, a huge bed where he can sleep. He gets petted, his fur is brushed, and if they didn't manage to brush him in time, they clean up his vomit. They even clean up his poop, maybe with a robot, those trendy new ones, those cat toilets. But there's one catch. He doesn't have any balls. And then there's another cat, flea-ridden, scruffy, with one eye half closed, but he runs free, does whatever he wants. His whole life is in his own hands. But that's an animal, a beast, so they don't really have that many options. Either you're free, but your life is hanging by a thread, or you're without balls and you'll just be forgotten. But we're not animals, we're people. And that's why we can have both our balls, our own bed, and pockets full of money. Or we can be working for a fixed salary and castrated, that is, completely stripped of free will. And that's a personal choice for each person to make. No one can force or compel him to give up his own field. Well, there is such a thing as cunning. You can cunningly trade it from him.
Thank you. Friends, follow the links in the description. There are many different practices there to strengthen your will, your power, and your intention. Also, please write in the comments what you think about all of this.
Thinking is harmful? That's another system that drains our energy.
Yes, and what do you feel about this?
That's better too. And it's even better if you share what you see. And see not with your physical eyes, but with extrasensory perception. In general, when a person starts to see, at first they are horrified by what they see, and then they are amazed at how well it is hidden from the vast number of eyes that seem open on the outside, but in reality are completely blind.
95% of people don't even realize that within them lies a power that grants access to any possibility, a successful business, strong relationships, health, and self-fulfillment. It allows you to hear your soul and remember your true nature, your divine nature. This power is your energy. When it is blocked, you feel tired and upset. But when your energy flows freely and without obstacles, you are full of strength and capable of achieving any goal. Everyone can feel the movement of energy in their body. Are you ready to see this for yourself right now? I've prepared a practice where, in just 3 minutes, you'll become aware of the state of your energy and be able to activate the inner power that has been blocked for many years. The practice is available for a limited time. Right now, follow the link provided below the video and unlock the incredible source of power within yourself.